Minnesota teachers rallied today less than 24 hours after overwhelmingly voting to go on strike for the second time in just 3 years. An hour later, school board members convened for tonight's finance meeting to begin drafting the district's next budget, which faces a multi-million-dollar deficit. Jennifer Hoff is here with a broader look at just how the district got here. Jennifer?
Julie, current and former district employees call it a financial crisis that experts say is largely driven by falling enrollment, from a declining birth rate to a failed plan to reconfigure school boundaries. The board chair telling me to right this ship, everything is on the table.
If we don't get it shut it down!
In Minneapolis, it's deja vu for a school district whose educators voted yesterday to go on strike.
I believe!
Just like it did for 3 weeks in 2022, when members got historic raises, but financial experts warned the district would drain its savings if it didn't start making significant changes.
Why I'm so frustrated with our budget situations, I feel like we are righting the ship.
Teacher turned school board chair Colin Beachy says several factors are driving the district's dire financial future.
It's just this financial insecurity that is what keeps me up at night.
First, funding will likely stay stagnant. The last new money the state legislature approved 2 years ago to the tune of $2 billion, consumed though by mandates and rising costs on top of an end to pandemic relief funds. The board voting to use that to help balance its budget then and pay for new positions.
It's not to say that they didn't spend it correctly. It's more that we do have to make these hard decisions now about how to shrink or go back to the way we were before.
Dr. Marguerite Rosa leads a national research center dedicated to education finance and says making the situation worse is the second factor, a steady drop in students.
They have fewer kids, so they need fewer schools, fewer staff.
A city audit finding the district had a 17% enrollment decrease in the last 5 years, sitting at 29,000 students now when it could serve as many as 40,000, and has the board considering closing or consolidating schools, some of which Dr. Rosa's data shows have fewer than 300 students. Like Hall Academy, spending nearly $27,000 per pupil when the state average is $10,000 less than that.
If you have 2 principals, 2 nurses, 2 PE teachers, 2 counselors, that's a lot of resources before you've even started putting teachers in there.
Salaries are a third factor. As the board begins its budget process for 2026 and 2027, and already a $25 million shortfall after using one-time funds called reserves to shrink last year's debt. Union members now demanding raises up to 12% that sources say would more than double that deficit, on top of asking for smaller class sizes and special education staffing, as the two parties have negotiated now for months.
I work with so many talented people, I work with so many creative people, and I work that we will make this work.
Some recent successes that Chair Beachy points to is a slight uptick in enrollment. There's new career and technical education centers and an intervention strategy for third graders in particular to try to bolster reading skills. He and the board will now have to approve a budget not until June, so they have a lot of work to do, while the union has a 10-day cooling off period, Julie, before they decide whether they officially go on strike.
So, I mean, this sounds dire. How would the teachers get a raise in this environment? I mean, is it possible? Do you think there's hope there?
I'm no financial expert, but judging by all the folks who I talk to, I don't know where the money, frankly, would come from for that. You're either looking at staffing or you're looking at raises.
Or closing schools.
Or closing schools. I mean, this is just why they continue to hash it out in mediations. There is another one on Thursday, so it's very possible that they could still come to some kind of resolution and not go on strike.
All right, really insightful. Thank you, Jennifer.